Good morning, everyone. First of all, and of course, most important, congratulations to the class of 2017. This honor means a great deal to me. There aren't many institutions on this planet that embody excellence as much as this one does. It's been a treasured part of my identity, and I'm sure it's already part of yours as well. It's tempting, robed as I am, to play the role of Old Testament prophet. So I'm going to go with it. Here's my prophecy. The world is going to be a much tougher place for your generation than it was for mine. I was here in the early 60s at the height of the civil rights struggle. It consumed me and most of my friends. I was editor of The Phoenix when the front page usually featured a story about the freedom movement at black schools down south, on the eastern shore of Maryland, and a few miles up the road in Chester. For many of us, getting arrested, spending a night or two in jail to make a statement against racism was more meaningful than getting a good grade. You know, sewn into a rug in Obama's Oval Office was the phrase, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Well, maybe. But looking back to the 60s and considering where we are today, that arc hasn't bent nearly enough. Schools and communities still are largely segregated, and income inequality has gotten worse. There's been some good news, and I am proud of what we did back in the 60s and 70s. But my generation's report card on social progress is, well, incomplete. You have got to do much better than we have. As a journalist, I've covered everything from Bosnia to Iraq, from AIDS to stem cell therapy. It was only when I became a dad I decided to focus on just one story, climate change. When my daughters, that's them over there, and and you graduates are as old as I am now, you will almost certainly be face to face with a threat capable of causing misery unparalleled in human history. The great majority of climate scientists are saying that if we continue to dump 40 billion tons of CO2 into the air every year, coastal cities like Miami may be underwater, and all coral reefs on the planet may be dead. Droughts are turning fertile soil into sand, and as a result, tens of millions of rural people will be climate refugees, desperate to get into countries that still work. If we continue with business as usual, that's the future my generation is leaving you. The good news is that the good news is that you have a decent shot at changing that trajectory if we move from dirty energy to mostly clean energy by 2030. That goal is within reach. If we get there in time, we'll avoid some of the effects of carbon pollution. Most scientists and economists, including many conservatives, agree the most powerful remedy we have is to place a tax on fossil fuels equal to the very real costs they impose on us. A price on carbon is not mere symbolism. It will remove the entitlement that permits the fossil fuel industry to dump toxins in our atmosphere for free. It will drive up the cost of dirty fuel, encouraging producers and consumers to embrace low-carbon alternatives. Pricing carbon can do for global warming what my generation hasn't yet succeeded in doing on matters of social justice. Carbon pricing can make life better, first for poor and non-white communities, and in the end for all of us. I am so proud that our president, Valerie Smith, has taken a leadership role. Where are you? as an advocate for carbon pricing. Sorry for bringing these grim forecasts to a day as joyful as this, but today is about your future, and this is what you're up against. My parents were part of a generation that defeated Hitler and saved us from fascism. Your challenge is no less daunting than theirs, perhaps even more. But here's the silver lining. I assume that most of you aspire to a purpose-driven life. One of those can be to help save the planet by finding real solutions to our dependence on fossil fuels. It's a tough assignment. I wish you luck, wisdom, and the strength to keep at it. Thank you.